and welcome to the preparation materials for the joint BLPC PFRC meeting number 1. I'm Daryl Johnson, the Director of Strategic Outreach for Arlington Public Schools, and I will begin the presentation for you. Here's the agenda of all of the items that we will cover. We'll begin with the Arlington Career Center project background. Next, we'll provide information regarding the Arlington Career Center project's historical timeline. Then we will discuss the building level planning committee process, and then the presentation will end with the Arlington Career Center project overview. I would now like to introduce my colleague, Ms. Lisa Stengel, the Executive Director of Planning and Evaluation, to share the information on the Arlington Career Center's project background.
Thank you, Daryl, and thank you, BLPC and PFRC members, for helping us again dig into the Career Center project and get this done. The Arlington Career Center project has continued to be included in our CIPs, and in October, the school board adopted direction for the upcoming 2023-32 CIP to include the Career Center. The superintendent was directed to begin work immediately, so this work will actually shape his proposal for the board. He was directed to include a project, and you'll learn a little bit more about that as we move through this presentation. We have invited the BLPC members who were part of this process before to return and help us provide input on the proposal. So the goal of the Career Center project is to build a school and a parking garage to be completed within the maximum total project cost of $174.48 million. That is the charge to the group. Everything you see throughout this process will fit within that total project cost and actually meet the ed specs that are in the school board's charge. The Building Level Planning Committee will use the PFRC's principles of civic design, which you'll also see if you link to the charge on the website, and to help gather feedback on the concepts that we have now, and then when we return later this summer to look at other phases of this process. APS will consider adjustments that again fit within the maximum total project cost and that meet the school board's requirements and the ed specs that were developed. This process will not address the entire site. We know that there's interest in, using the site to its fullest capacity, and we all have that same goal. There are other steps that are in place to do those, and I'll talk a little bit about those in a moment. First, a reminder of all of the programs that are on the site. We have the Career Center, and many of you have spent some time there actually in the prior meeting process. The Montessori Public Schools of Arlington is next door in the former Patrick Henry building, and we have Arlington Community High School in the building that used to be owned by the county, the Fenwick building. The Career Center is home to a really dynamic, diverse group of students and learners who learn by doing. The Career Center is available actually to students from across all of our high schools, and students go there for CTE, for career and tech education programs. And I think many of you have heard Principal Margaret Chung provide an overview of all of the different ways they help students learn. Specifically, they've got a number of programs. They've got Arlington Tech, which is a program where many of the students, they learn through project-based learning, and they participate in dual enroll classes, so they earn both high school and community college credit. And when many of the students leaving are actually leaving with graduating with an associate's degree. The CTE programs, the Career Tech and Adult Ed programs, are programs that are available to students from across our high schools, and they come here often for 2 periods a day to get those hands-on learning in those tech spaces. Arlington Academy, the English Learner Institute, and the Program for Employee Preparedness are all smaller programs in the building that serve students with some specific needs. And then the Teen Parenting Program is there. There's a preschool program that serves those students, and then they go out, they're actually in some of these other programs or other schools. So last spring, when the school board adopted its CIP, it directed us to plan to move Arlington Community High School off the site. I think as we began looking at all this the options for building on the site. One of the things that we learned through the last process is that building around an existing high school while the students are in there is cost prohibitive. And this process is actually focusing on a new high school building. We learned actually through this, as we were beginning to work on this, the county has worked with Amazon as they're planning for Penn Place, and there is a public benefit space in there, and Arlington Community High School will move to that site in fall of 2026. We will be looking, we are right now actively looking to lock into a temporary location where Arlington Community High School would move beginning in fall of 2023 and would remain until that Penn Place build space opens for them. We also know that when we open the building on the site, when we open the new high school for the Career Center, the existing Career Center facility will remain and be available for other uses. Part of the school board's direction is to stay within the sort of the range of what was considered in prior processes for maximum student capacity. We don't want to operate so many schools on that site that we have too many students and make it really prohibited for traffic. So there's a separate process through our CIP work with staff and the Facilities Advisory Committee to look at really the use of that site and, you know, our buildings on there and how we best use all of those spaces. So that work is being done separately and will be brought back in a future CIP. We didn't want to make decisions now that really lock us into some things that could be better decisions for 2 years from now. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ben Bergen from Design and Construction to talk about the history of this site.
All right, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate the introduction. So work in planning for the Career Center site has been underway for well over a decade under the tenure of 3 separate superintendents. Beginning with the leadership of Dr. Smith in FY 2007 to 12 CIP, the project was initially considered, and then follow on in the 09 to 14 CIP, it provided additional details related to the Career Center project. Under Dr. Murphy, the Career Center continued to be emphasized in nearly every CIP document produced in a significant way. There were most significantly, I'd say, in the FY 2015 to 24 CIP, really began to address a major work at the site, around 1,300 additional secondary seats identified. The Career Center site was identified to house a fair number of those. In FY 2017, the CIP, it identified the Career Center in Arlington Tech. As Ms. Stengel mentioned, the launch of that program at the building necessitated some capital improvements to make room for them, which have been conducted over the past several years. Next slide. In 2018, the Career Center Working Group was launched, and this was a joint committee that reported to both the school and county boards. They were asked to, they had a very extensive charge and were asked to consider development of the site centered around 700 to 800 additional students. They did produce a report of that effort, and the following CIP was reflective of some suggestions of that report. Most significantly, there was a $184 million project identified in the FY 19 to 28 CIP. That following on the heels of the Career Center Working Group, the Arlington Career Center BLP was established in the fall of 2019 to consider a major development at the Career Center site. In conjunction to that, there was also a more modest project related to the expansion of Arlington Tech. The conclusion of that BLPC process resulted in a project that was not financially viable. It was significantly over the funding that had been allocated, and at that point the project had been paused temporarily. Next slide, please. In Dr. Duran's tenure, the FY 2021 or 2021 CIP did not include the Career Center project because the project that was presented could not fit within the funding available. So as a follow-on to that, a couple of activities occurred. One was the Career Center After Action Analysis, which took a very extensive review of development leading up to the concept design proposal that had come in over budget. And that analysis did offer several suggestions for improving the process, which staff have implemented and begun to share. In the 2022 to 24 CIP, some planning funds were allocated for that would allow the design work at the Career Center site to continue. And provisionally, that was allocated, identifying that additional secondary seats could be added to the site within a stated cost limit, and that could be completed as close to December 2025 as possible. With that, I will turn it back to Daryl Johnson to discuss the Building Level Planning Committee process.
Thank you, Ben. So the BLPC consists of students, parents, staff, civic association members, and community members. The main purpose of the BLPC is to weigh in on how the building interacts with the community. The BLPC members will be responsible for communicating with and obtaining feedback from the stakeholder groups they represent, and then also providing feedback and recommendations to staff who are responsible for the design and delivery of the building. The BLPC has joint meetings with the county's Public Facilities Review Committee, or PFRC. Some of the BLPC members are also PFRC members. The principles of civic design, they're intended to inform the design of civic facilities in Arlington, including buildings and other projects, to ensure they meet community goals for attractiveness, durability, and functionality. The principles reinforce and supplement existing county planning documents and policies, and are meant to promote compliance with certain basic principles, but not to inhibit creative design. Some of the principles are civic values, siting and orientation, building form, and building details and materials. And so for this process, we are using the International Association of Public Participation, the spectrum of public participation. So for the BLPC, the level of participation for the Arlington Career Center project is to consult. And to consult means to obtain feedback on the analysis, alternatives, and a decision. This means we will keep everyone informed, we will listen to and acknowledge any concerns and aspirations and feedback that are shared that are viable in regards to the development of this project. And now I would like to turn it back over to Ben.
All right, thank you. So with that context, turning our attention to the task and the project at hand, responding to the why build at the Arlington Career Center question. As mentioned during the historical review, the development of the site has been under consideration for many years, and its form has evolved as APS's needs have evolved. But currently, there are over 500 full-time students at the existing Career Center building, and this project will help provide adequate educational facilities for them and will enhance the learning environments for the students already there. It will modernize the CTE labs that were originally constructed in 1974 and provide sort of the best instructional areas for those functions that exist today. Many of the career and technical education courses that are being taught today weren't even in consideration in 1974 when some of these spaces were originally developed. This project also will respond to key challenges that were identified in the community facilities study, particularly the element of land scarcity within Arlington. The Career Center site is a centrally located site that has some ability to increase capacity, and it provides a lot of flexibility to meet current challenges in enrollment. Specific to the school board's direction for the FY 2023 to 32 CIP, the school board approved very specific project requirements. As Ms. Stengel mentioned, the superintendent was directed to begin concept design, and it was that concept design was to be centered around base and alternative educational specifications. It is also based on an option 4 site plan diagram that I'll explain in further detail in a moment. Leading up to this direction, staff had conducted a study at the site that considered several different options. As Ms. Stengel mentioned, some of those options were related to renovation and expansion of the existing building, and ultimately option 4 was selected by the school board to pursue, which provides a new Arlington Career Center facility. So specific project requirements include, the chart indicated has 2 columns. One is a base educational specification, the details contained in there. And then secondly is an alternative educational specification. The difference between the two is really a matter of capacity, cost, and building size. So in the base ed specs, the maximum capacity is almost 1,800 students. It will house the instructional programs identified. These are the existing programs that occur within the facility as it exists today. The cost for the base ed spec is just over $170 million, and the building size 260,000 square feet. The alternative ed spec removes some of the building capacity, so the consequence of that is the cost and the building size get smaller and also get reduced. Related to the site facilities, these are things like the playgrounds, the fields, structured and surface parking. The school board did direct the superintendent to pursue option number 4 site plan, which will be shown in a moment, with the complete expectation that that site plan gets refined using the input of the BLPC, the PFRC throughout the concept design process. For completion, the school board has tasked the new building to be complete in 2025 December, and then all phases of the project complete in April 2027. On the slide, you'll see the preliminary site plan diagram related to option number 4. The blue box along Walter Reed Drive is a new 5-story Arlington Career Center facility. Just to the left of the new facility is the existing Career Center building. The portion in dark gray is the Columbia Pike Library. The lighter gray tone is the sort of the balance of the Arlington Career Center facility. Outlined in the red dashed line is a portion of the existing Arlington Career Center building that will need to be demolished to primarily to make way for the above grade parking structure identified on the screen that at the corner of 9th and Highland Streets. That particular component of the Arlington Career Center building, for those familiar with it, is the double height shop spaces, single level, that are serving primarily CTE programs at this point. Just to the diagram north of the new building will be a field area. The existing Montessori Public School of Arlington remains in its current condition. However, the existing playground for the MSPA will need to be relocated and will be relocated prior to the start of construction, because the current playground footprint conflicts with the location of the new building. As it's currently considered, the bus operations would occur within a driveway on within the site itself. with a main entrance that fronts South Walter Reed Drive. Next slide, please. In terms of the project schedule, so we had planned a series of BLPC and PFRC meetings that would span across approximately a 2-year pre-construction period. There'll be a series of meetings in the concept design phase that are scheduled for January, February, and March of this year. That would lead into a presentation of a proposed concept design to the school board in April of 2022. That date is important because it allows this project to be contained within the superintendent's proposed CIP, which aligns with the requirements that the board has approved. Assuming that the school board approves the project to continue, we would begin a schematic design phase with 2 additional BLPC PFRC meetings, currently expected to be around June and August of this year. And likewise, the result of the schematic design effort would be a proposed project to the school board in September of this year. If the board continues with the project and approves staff to move forward, we would begin a use permit phase, which is principally furthering the design in response to many county staff comments in preparation of the county board hearing. Customary with APS capital projects, we would expect to review the proposed use permit with the BLPC and PFRC in January of 2023, with an anticipated county board use permit hearing date of April 2023. From there, the design team will be primarily heads down, preparing the construction documents and getting things bid and ready for construction. Just prior to construction, we would again visit the BLPC and PFRC to share the outcome of the final design, to share any nuanced revisions that have been made since they had last seen the project, and to discuss some logistical things related to breaking ground and starting construction on this important project. Just before construction, we would expect that in November of 2023 to present a construction contract to the school board for approval. And from there, we break ground and have the needed construction period to meet the completion dates required by the school board. December of 2025 for the new Arlington Career Center building, and then April 2027 for the entire project completion. The reason we have 2 sort of completion dates for this is that work related to the existing Career Center building cannot begin until the new students are moved into the new facility. So there will be 2 primary phases to the job. Once the new facility is constructed, occupants of the existing building could move there, and we could begin work to demolish a portion of the existing building and prepare the field and the parking structure. As mentioned previously, the framework being used for public engagement is the Principles of Civic Design developed by the Public Facilities Review Committee, the PFRC. So in the concept phase, those are the meetings to occur January, February, and March of this year. We would be focused on refining the siting and orientation of the building and beginning the building form. So the elements in blue text here are headings within the civic design principles themselves. And this chart is intended to help identify the areas of emphasis at these phases. So as things carry into schematic design, we would be intending to refine the building form and beginning the building details and materials. And of course, the civic values portion of the design principles would be important for us to review throughout the project because those are more general in nature. And with that would summarize the content for this. And Daryl, I will turn it back to you for any closing comments.
Thank you, Ben, and I just want to thank everyone for listening to us share more information in regards to the joint BLPC PFRC preparation materials going over the Arlington Career Center project. And last, I just want to remind everyone that all information is posted on the APS website under Engage with APS. That's where all information and resources is posted. So please feel free to review it at any time. And thank you again for watching.